What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm Ryan Thomas. Welcome back for another edition of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Part 2 of today's morning show. I got started off with a league announcement for my fantasy league, Lockport Fantasy Football. It was pretty fun. I actually liked doing a little preview of the semis for my league this upcoming week, going up against my buddy Zach Troutwine. We have been rivals throughout the history of the Lockport Fantasy Football League, to say the least, in both my league and his league, Brett Favre for President. That is the name of Zach's league, and I don't think that will ever change. Zach is a huge Brett Favre fan, as was I. But on to the actual subject matter. Tune into that podcast. Tune into the other podcasts that I posted on the Thomas Take at Thomas Take Sports Podcast Facebook page. Posted those episodes and many others throughout the course of this podcast show's history. So today, as a part 2 to today's podcast episodes, I am doing a preview of the Buffalo Bills game tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock with the Cleveland Browns. The Bills will play host to the Cleveland Browns at New Era Field tomorrow in a game that is a must-win for Buffalo Bills fans and for the Buffalo Bills franchise in general. This game should be considered a must-win. Reason why is because even though the Buffalo Bills are out of the playoff race, even though they're 6-7, they're technically not officially eliminated yet, but it's over. They have to wait for other teams to play, hope that other teams lose, and hope this team loses, A, B, C, and D. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The season is over. Playoffs are done. But this game is the biggest game of the season, and I'm going to tell you guys why this game is the biggest game of the season, and for the few reasons that I have, some of which are obvious. Point number 1, the Cleveland Browns have yet to win a NFL game this season. 0-13, the worst record, obviously, in the National Football League. The Cleveland Browns are the worst team in the National Football League. Day in and day out, I see stuff on Facebook making fun of the Cleveland Browns in every which way possible. Buddy of mine from Apple Bottom Sports, Brian Full, Apple Bottom Sports, is a new website that'll be introduced within the coming days that I will also be a part of. We're going to be going live to Cleveland, or live to Buffalo tomorrow to actually preview the game. I will not be there, unfortunately. I cannot get off for that event, but I will be a part of Apple Bottom Sports coverage team in the future. So that's another little mini announcement for myself and for everyone that listens to this show, that I will be a part of Apple Bottom Sports, a new New York sports coverage website. I wouldn't even say it's just centered on New York, but obviously it's based out of Buffalo, New York. So also very excited to say that that we are going to be going to events. We're going to be going to Boston on St. Patrick's Day. That'll be pretty fun. So hopefully we can make it down there or over there for a Red Sox game. I would really enjoy that. Point number 2, why the Buffalo Bills need to win this game. Obviously, with the last 2 losses, the last 2 games, the Buffalo Bills blew the lead over the Oakland Raiders in Oakland, and then last week they let Le'Veon Bell run through them as if their defense was Swiss cheese. So, being that the last 2 weeks have happened in the fashion in which they have happened, I think it's time that the Buffalo Bills really take a look at their season, front office-wise. Terry Pegula put too much money into this team to look at it and say, things are okay, we'll continue to go with who we have. I really think it's time for Terry to take action. And if the Buffalo Bills lose this game tomorrow to the Cleveland Browns, then Terry will have no choice but to take action. It will be one of the bigger embarrassments in Bills franchise history if they lose this game tomorrow, being that Cleveland is just that bad. They are so bad. They are the worst team in the NFL for a reason. And one thing Cleveland does have going into tomorrow's game as an advantage for themselves is the fact that they do have a healthy Robert Griffin III at quarterback. People laugh at me when I say stuff about Robert Griffin III, but Robert Griffin III, RG3, gives Cleveland the best chance to win. Obviously, as I just said, they're a terrible team, but I think Robert Griffin III, out of all the quarterbacks that they have, I think he does give them the best chance to win a football game. It might not be a good chance, but the best chance to win. And last week, he made some plays out there. He didn't look terrible. He didn't do great, but he showed signs of rookie in Washington 2012 RG3 in terms of his mobility. And, there are some matchup problems as far as defensively. Joe Hayden's on the other side. Joe Thomas is at left tackle. So, I can't say that the Cleveland Browns have no chance of winning this game, especially being that they're playing the Buffalo Bills. But I do think that this is a winnable game for the Buffalo Bills. They have to win this game. This is it. This game is it. If the Bills lose this game, Rex is gone. Doug Whaley should be gone, but apparently, according to Channel 2 News reporter Adam Bonini and Vic Carucci on the Channel 2 News segment, the Buffalo Bills organization from the top, Terry and Kim Pagula, are enamored with Doug Whaley. They really like Doug Whaley. I don't know why. I really don't. But news story came out earlier today that the Buffalo Bills are looking to hire. They're looking to hire people, or bring in people to shovel snow for $10 an hour at New Era Field. And the first thing I thought when I saw that was I wouldn't go there for $10 an hour to shovel snow. I would go there, though, for $1 an hour to shovel snow on Doug Whaley, to bury Doug Whaley in the snow. That's what I would do. Over the course of the last few years, the mistakes that he has made have set this franchise back so far, with no clear-cut answer at quarterback, still to this very minute, with no clear-cut answer as to who they are as a football team. They have no identity whatsoever. Their defense, he puts them in position to fail with the fact that he has ignored the fact that they need safeties and adequate corners on this team. They do not have either one. Ronald Darby took a huge step back, losing his job to a 6th-round draft choice. Stephon Gilmore took huge steps back. That could be in large part due to the safety problem, as I alluded to just moments ago. I don't know, but I do know that their depth on their roster is very bad, very poor, and that falls on the GM. You could say things about Rex Ryan's coaching ability. If they lose this game, again, as I've said this once before, if they lose this game, Rex Ryan is gone. He will be fired at the end of the season. And frankly, I like Rex. I like the attitude that he has. I like the moxie that he brings into a press conference. I like his personality. He's entertaining, which the Buffalo Bills haven't had an entertaining coach in quite some time. He can get the fans motivated, but in terms of winning and losing games, in terms of wanting concrete evidence that your team is improving, fans don't want to hear trash talk when we're losing. Fans want to hear what the solution is going to be to win. And really, this is taken seriously, and it's supposed to be taken seriously, in large part due to the fact that they haven't made the playoffs in 17 years. Now, that's not Rex Ryan's fault, but he has to take that into account. The fans are sick of hearing the false hope narrative of the Buffalo Bills the last 16, 17 years. We want concrete evidence that we are getting better, and we want answers when we are not doing better. We want to hear actual proof as to what we need to do to get better and as to what we are doing wrong. And we haven't been given a straight answer all season long by Rex Ryan as to why exactly they have had the difficulties that they've had on the defensive side of the ball. You let Le'Veon Bell run for, in total yards of scrimmage, 298 yards. I mean, that's just ridiculous. 298 total yards for a running back in 2016 and the 2016 National Football League. That's absurd. I mean, I like Rex Ryan. As I've said, I want him to stay. But if he loses to the Cleveland Browns, then something needs to change, because the one game does make that much of a difference. When you lose a 24-9 lead versus the Oakland Raiders, when you let Le'Veon Bell run all over you for the entirety of the game, and when you lose to a team that's 0-13, then it's a wrap. You have 2 divisional games after that against Miami and the Jets. They'll probably let Rex finish out the season regardless of whether they win or lose or whether they lose, I should say, regardless of whether they lose versus the Cleveland Browns. But something definitely needs to be done from the top, from Terry Pegula's end, as far as whether Russ Brandon sticks around, the guy that we have no idea what his actual occupation is, what his day-to-day tasks are within his job title. Doug Whaley continues to reach for players year in and year out. Shaq Lawson's been a great player since he came back from his injury, but to draft a guy in the first round that you knew had a shoulder problem and you knew would miss the first 8 weeks of the season, the Buffalo Bills are not at a luxury to do things like that, to make decisions like that. And Doug Whaley was quoted as saying, "I'm confident in who we have. We'll be fine." The Patriots have a much better team all across the board than what we have, and they wouldn't even make a move that's that stupid. Teams would never make a move that was that stupid, knowing that a guy would miss half of his rookie year, drafting him in the first round. The Reggie Ragland thing, that's nobody's fault. He got hurt. That was a freak accident. But the going up only 5 draft choices and giving up a first-round pick in the 2015 draft for Sammy Watkins when we had no quarterback to throw him the ball, and clearly we still don't. Tyrod Taylor is afraid to throw the ball. We have seen that this year. Regardless of how many different wide receiver groupings that he's had, regardless of the offensive coordinator changes, he is afraid to throw the ball. And to be honest, I have never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it where a guy holds onto the ball for so long, he has no idea whether he's going to run, whether he's going to pass. And by the time he makes that decision, he's already ran out of real estate and the play is dead. Play is over. So he's trying to do his best Doug Flutie impersonation, and it's not working. It's not working. I'm very interested to see what they do going forward, but I want to let it be known on the Thomas Take Sports podcast that if the Buffalo Bills lose this game, there is no way in hell that Rex Ryan is coming back. It's over. It's over and done. One game doesn't dictate whether a coach gets fired or not. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is what I've alluded to throughout this entire show today. The debacle of their defense since he has been hired cannot be underestimated. He came into this defense with the number 1 sack defense in the National Football League, and ever since they've been in the top 15, top 20. They've been ranked 15th to 20th. They've regressed since he came on. And yes, the schemes are different, and part of that is Doug Whaley for not putting the right players on this team schematically. But it's all a collective effort, and somebody's got to pay for it. And I think if they finish this season with a losing record, 8-8 or 7-9, both Doug Whaley and Rex Ryan should be fired, and Russ Brandon should also be fired as well for the infamous quote of not letting Rex out of the room. Don't let Rex out of the room. That was the famous Russ Brandon quote. All 3 of them should be gone. If they finish this season on a losing record, can the entire thing. Throw it all away and start over.